Today, we'll be reviewing the long collaboration between the Lake County Board of Developmental Disabilities in Deepwood and the Rotary Clubs of Willoughby and Meadows. Your heart will be warmed today by the impact that you and your fellow Rotarians have had on the lives of the clients of Deepwood. Before I go too far, though, I need to do some introductions, as always, in Rotary. First and foremost, I want to give a warm welcome to Rotary International President-elect Stephanie Urchick. We also have some PDGs in the audience, so if you'll please hold your applause until I introduce all of them. We have Beverly Kent-Straczynski and Dave Straczynski. We have Amy Papaskasi, and we have Tim Wright. Thank you all for your service. We also have a couple club presidents. We have Vicki Wilderman and Mike Gallagher. Vicki of Mentor and Mike of Willoughby. And we have Stephanie's president-elect also, two of them, I think. I didn't see Maureen come in, but I thought she was coming. And then we also have Neil Sawicki from Mentor here. So, thank you all. From the Lake County Board of Disabilities, Deepwood, I would also like to introduce Judge Larry Allen, past president of the Rotary Club and president of the Board of Directors. And also Elfie Roman, who is past president of the Meadow Rotary Club and is superintendent of the Lake County Board of Developmental Disabilities at Deepwood. I'm Dale Smith, District Governor-elect for 6630 and from the Meadow Rotary Club. Today we're going to hear about the projects, the impacts of those projects that our clubs have undertaken in our decades-old partnership with the Lake County Board of Developmental Disabilities Deepwood. This collaboration will continue and grow. It's very vital to these people and their families. The Painesville Club, I need to mention, is doing very, very similar work, serving youth in their ongoing partnership with Camp Koinonia. I always get that wrong. Together, we empower, enrich, and engage those with developmental disabilities in Lake County, as well as the families and the staff of those who work here with them. You'll hear today how, with the staff here providing prioritization, our projects have met the various needs of those in their care. You'll also see how these projects have been sustained and continue to provide the desired benefits years after implementation. Some examples are here. Mentor has a monthly woodworking project, and these are some examples of the projects that we do with them. We also have the Freedom Flag here. The Broadmoor School is a proud recipient of a Freedom Flag, and this jigsaw puzzle was built by our woodworking team, our leaders, and was used to explain each of the elements of the Freedom Flag as it was presented. And over here on this screen, I believe, is the running loop of that presentation. We also have some other things here that we'll talk about in a moment, but I in particular wanted to recognize Bill, Pickett, and Treadway. They, along with Bob Lindenikin, are the leaders of our woodworking program, and it wouldn't be near what it is today without their work and their very hard work and dedication to the project. Bob, this wouldn't be where it is today without them. At this point, I'd like to introduce Judge Larry Allen, President of the Lake County Board of Disabilities, and Deepwood and past President of the Willoughby Rotary Club, to talk about the RAP project, if you would.
Thank you very much, Dale. Good morning to all, and to Madam President-elect Urchick, thank you for taking some of your valuable time to spend with us today. Friends, fellow Rotarians, usually when you get this job, it's the short straw. Today I got the long straw. Because today we're going to be talking about a terrific program that the Willoughby Rotary has put together. It's called the RAP program, the Willoughby Rotary Autism Program. But I can't tell you about that program without mentioning the name of a guy by the name of Dan Romanski. So I just want to tell you, take a few seconds to tell you about Dan. Dan is a friend, he's a fellow Rotarian. He's a former coach, teacher, business person, father, husband, grandfather, and a terrific guy. He retired from all of that because he decided he was going to go another direction. He started out by just researching. He was a history teacher, and he was researching some of his roots where he grew up in the suburban Cleveland area. And it got to a point where the Gates Mills Library asked him to come and talk about his research with a few of his friends. When he got there was 140 people waiting for him. That started Dan out on a storybook trip where he became the storyteller of Cleveland. That was about 5 years ago. Since that time, Dan has had hundreds of talks about the history of the Cleveland area, back in the Gilded Age, wrote books, talked about Millionaires Row, the lives of Rockefeller, the Mathers, the Whites, spoke in boardrooms, classrooms, public and private meetings, hundreds of times. He was the guy who, if you'd ever seen him, his props on the stage were just a big old comfortable sitting chair. He would walk up to the stage, amble up there, before he started his presentation, he would make two announcements. One, I'm 6'6" tall, and yes, I play basketball. And with that, he would sit down in this chair and start talking in this very casual, straightforward, sturdy voice about the greatness that once was in Cleveland, about the stories of Euclid Avenue, an avenue that Mark Twain said was one of the most beautiful avenues in the world. He talked about a time when over half of the millionaires in the world lived in Cleveland. And he made you feel like you were sitting in your living room as he was talking with you, and you just couldn't believe the stories that he was telling. It was in this background that one day Dan came to our Rotary Club and said, you know, I've got an idea. He had been watching 60 Minutes, an autistic presentation from that program, and said, I think it would be nice for the Willoughby Rotary to undertake a project where we provided iPads to those who were unable to speak for themselves, and that he would contribute the earnings of all of his speeches to pay for the initial go-around of this gifting of these iPads. Well, as always, there's a few individuals who are not really ready to invite change. But one day we had a young girl, 21 years old, who came to speak to our Rotary Foundation. She used her iPad and told us about how she had been a young girl growing up, unable to speak, but had all of the same urges and desires of any young girl in this world. Because of her inability to speak, she acted out in many unsociable ways. But with the iPad, she was able to gain her speech, and she said that for the first time in 21 years, she was able to tell her mother that she loved her. I can tell you there wasn't a dry eye in that group at the time. And the Willoughby RAP program took off with a vengeance. Since that time, we've had the opportunity to obtain additional funding for the program. The then mayor of Willoughby and one of the pastors of our local churches put together a golf outing in which they divided 50% of the proceeds of that golf outing to the Willoughby RAP program through the Willoughby Rotary Foundation, and the other half to the good services of who we know as Pastor Mike through the Willoughby area. That program, that golf outing rather, has been sold out every year, including this past year. And the proceeds continue to flow into our foundation. And the new mayor of Willoughby, also a Rotarian, has agreed to continue with that program on into the future. To date, over 700 iPads have been distributed, and I'm sure that number is increasing to this day. Dan Rubinsky passed away on July 28th. Pastor John, another fellow Rotarian, noted in his obituary that he was a gentleman and a gentle man. I can assure you that his legacy will continue through the Willoughby Rotary. Plans are already being made to undertake that program. There's a number of stories that we can share about the times of Dan and the impact of the RAP program. But I think the best way for you to see and understand the significance is by an example. Today, we have a young man who I met on the way in, told him I was going to be introducing him. He's going to be able to talk with you about his experiences and his use of the iPad. His name is Larry Petrie. So I'm going to give Larry the mic.
Good morning, Rotary members and special guest Rotary International President-elect. I am so very honored, and it is a pleasure to be asked to speak with you all this morning. My name is Larry, and I am unable to speak like you. I thank you all for making a difference in my life and the lives of so many with disabilities. I was a recipient of an iPad from the Willoughby Rotary a few years ago. This was my way of communicating with my staff, family, and friends. I am unable to talk, and the iPad opened up a new world for me. I was able to use the iPad and my cell phone to access Facebook, the internet, and most importantly, I was able to have a voice. I used my iPad every day, and it has helped me to learn new and different ways to use my new eye gaze. I am able to express my thoughts and communication skills through an iPad. I do not take communication for granted. I am a member of many committees at both Deepwood and in the community. I, like the Rotary clubs in Ohio, advocate and support many community events concerning those with disabilities and everyday citizens. I recently worked with Sub-Zero Mission, Little Annie's Hope Train, and Birthright in both Lake and Geauga counties. I also work with my best friend on a Facebook Live event once a week, spreading awareness about living with a disability and how it works and how it feels. We have been doing this Facebook Live for over a year, and I am hoping that more people are aware of those with disabilities. My goals for 2023 are to be as independent as I can, to help others with disabilities, to stay positive, to use Lake Tran more, and to spread kindness in everything I do. I am very proud of the communities I live, work, and play in, and how many different opportunities there are here for those with disabilities. I am proud to be living in Lake County. I am proud to live at Ashley Lies Moon Shadow, and I am proud of who I have become with the support of many people in this county. On behalf of those with disabilities, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the Rotary clubs and what they do to help those with disabilities. You make a difference, and I am proud to live in a community with so much support and dedication. Thank you, and have a great rest morning. Later.
Well, I think that's enough to be said. So thank you, Larry. Thank you, Dan. May you rest in peace.
Thank you, Judge Allen. At this time, I would like to invite Elfie to come up. Superintendent of the Lake County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and she's going to describe some more of the projects that have been done here.
Good morning. We're so happy to have all of you here today, especially our President International, President Urchick. Thank you so much for coming to our school. So many of the Rotarians in the room are familiar with Broadmoor School, but the projects that the Rotarians have promoted and participated in have actually affected not only our Broadmoor School, but the vast array of programs and services that the Lake County Board of DD operates in the community. We operate programs from birth till death, both residential, educational, vocational, you name it. We're one of the providers, and we're going to be very happy today for you to be able to meet some of the individuals who are benefiting from the program. You've already met Larry, he's one of our stars, but we have other people that you'll be meeting today when we go on a tour. But the projects that Rotary has participated in have literally empowered, enriched, and enhanced over 2,000 people's lives, thousands of people's lives. Our board has always been very supportive of our management team joining community organizations. And several decades ago, I don't want to say how many, I was encouraged to join Mentor Rotary. And I was perhaps one of the first women that was in the Rotary Club of Mentor. And it was a little bit daunting. But you know, I got to meet people, and two of them right here, Bill Pickett and Fred LaRicha, were some of the first people I met, and immediately felt so welcome and so part of this organization who truly lives service above self. One of the first projects that Mentor Rotary completed was actually building a gazebo for our adult program, our seniors program, the retirement program. This was a project, we thought it would be a one-day caring project, and it said it spread out over a week or more. But I thought, oh my gosh, these guys are never gonna wanna pick up another project. Boy, was I wrong. They since, I think, got kind of hooked with being part of our organization and supporting the people here, getting to know the individuals that are benefiting. So that project moved on to almost every year, the Rotary picking some sort of project here at our agency to do for the United Way Day of Caring. As a matter of fact, Fred usually sends an email to say, okay, what do you need now? And we come up with a project, and it's done. So You'll see some things here that are not from Broadmoor School even. The far right table, the red table there, is a sensory room that is part of our adult autism program. There's all sorts of sensory equipment that's put in there so that the individuals can have tactile experiences, sensory type experiences, often very calming experiences. And that was one of the projects that Rotary did. Right next to that, we have our dog treats, which Stephanie, we were gonna present to you, but we found out you don't have a dog. We've all thought, well, they smell so wonderful, maybe we'll just have some. But and they're all natural ingredients, so if maybe one of the PDGs has a dog and can take those. But that's a project that the individuals, our adults, are making those and selling those to help enrich their program as well. Another project, as Dale mentioned, was the Freedom Flag, and we were so honored to be the only school in Ohio to get the Freedom Flag, and we were able to fly that for a year. We had a piece of steel from the Twin Towers that we got for a year, and we had a beautiful ceremony to celebrate the Freedom Flag. So the other projects that we have here for Deepwood, as Dale had mentioned, the Rotary Woodworking Project, and some of the things that you'll see today, I think words can't paint the picture as well as what we'll see when we go on a tour. But we're gonna start with a Special Olympics training room, which is just incredible. We're going to go out to an adaptive playground that is used by both our children here at the school and by the adults who came here dressed up in their Hawaiian garb. I must be Hawaiian. And then we'll see our preschool cubbies that the Rotary has built. We'll see the Wall of Defeat in our gym, which is for our Broadmoor Bobcats basketball team, who is the only undefeated team in Lake County. And we have played every high school. We've played Menor Rotary. We've played Deepwood Administration, and we've all suffered defeats. And our shirts are up on the wall, and thanks to the frames that, again, Bill Pickett and our Rotary team built for us for a beautiful display. So I'm very eager to start the tour, and we have our Assistant Superintendent Ann Mahler and our just recently retired Children's Services Director, Broadmoor Principal Linda DeRosa, both members of Menor Rotary, who will also be leading tour groups. So thank you so much for coming. We're so honored.
We also have Dan Rominski's son, Dan, who's here as well, representing what his father has done for this community. So thank you so much for coming today. We have a few remarks before the tour. So together, you empower, enrich, and engage the development of these children. With crafting in sports, the Special Olympics training room, the Bobcats games, the Wall of Shame. You provide shade to enable them to play outside and outdoors when they wouldn't be able to otherwise. You create the space for them to enjoy the game of baseball over at the Miracle League field. One of our other projects was an ill-fated but eventually successful attempt to build bleachers for the Miracle League over there. We just tried to assemble them 3 times, and finally the contractor shooed us away. So we'll finish them for you. And with the sensory therapy room, we help them learn to control their emotions. You enable them to speak through your work. You do that together. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change in our world, in our communities, and in ourselves. Today you see that vision here at Broadmoor, and I encourage you to take the tour so you see it even more fully. Isn't it the truth that you were moved by what you've heard and seen today. I know I am. Albert Schweitzer said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know. The only ones among you who are truly happy are those who have sought and found a way to serve. I'm sure each of you know people who want to help our communities who are not yet found Rotary. They might go to your church, be a co-worker, a friend, a neighbor. I implore you, invite them to join us. If your meeting time, day, or place doesn't work for them, there are other clubs here that might work better. There's our satellite club that meets in the morning. And maybe we need an entirely new satellite club to get them to join us, but get them to join us. Additionally, consider, if meetings aren't their jam, consider a flexible, open type of membership in which they can serve and celebrate with us, but they're not held to come to meetings. But the more of us there are helping the world, the better off our communities will be, the better off the clients of Deepwood will be. Is it fair to all concerned if you introduce them to the same fulfillment and happiness that you have through Rotary? Assuredly it is. Will it build goodwill and better friendships by inviting them to join us? I know that when I'm in the company of Rotarians anywhere in the world, I'm with people who share our heart. Our four-way test, it's over there. Our core principles. I know I'm with people, with friends I've just not met yet. I'm with family. Lastly, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change in our world, in our communities, and in ourselves. Imagine how much more we can do when we bring new energy, ideas, and passion to our clubs through our new members. We will increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance our membership experience, and increase our ability to adapt. So, who are you bringing to the Porstead Polio at Devaney and Madison on August 31st? And maybe following up with the Pinestead Polio at Muirhead on October 26th. Between those events, you can also bring them to Fairport Harbor Beach, where the Satellite Club is doing a beach cleanup at 9 a.m. on that Saturday. And they're also bringing their beach cleanup robot, which is really cool. I apologize for the shameless plugs, but seriously, August 31st, September 9th, and October 26th. I want to see you and your friends. Bring your friends there. We'll be done, by the way, on September 9th, before the Ohio State game against Youngstown State starts. OH?
Ow!
It's now my distinct honor and privilege to introduce my president, Rotary International President-elect Stephanie Urchick. And I can't be more pleased to be one of her governors. Stephanie Urchick is only the second woman in Rotary's 118-year history to be named president of Rotary International. She'll lead the organization for the 2024-2025 year. A member of the Rotary Club of McMurray, Pennsylvania, she served the organization in many roles and on the front line of service since becoming a member in 1991. She traveled to Vietnam to help build a primary school and to the Dominican Republic to install water filters. She studied several Slavic languages, has mentored new Rotarians in the Ukraine, and coordinated a Rotary Foundation grant project in Poland. Her roles within Rotary International include Director, Foundation Trustee, Chair of the Rotary International Strategic Planning, and the Rotary Foundation Centennial Celebration Committee. Please welcome your President-elect, Stephanie Urchick.
Good morning, family of Rotary and friends of Rotary. I'm delighted to be here. My remarks are going to be short, primarily because I'm speechless. And that doesn't happen. This is a remarkable experience. Those of you who have had a chance to look at my background know that I'm an educator. And in Rotary, so much of what we do in our areas of focus starts with education. You know, when we're out there trying to help eradicate polio, it's important that we educate the mothers of children so that they understand how important it is to get that vaccine. When we go into communities to provide fresh water, it's important that we educate people about how to use the systems that we put in. Education is the basis of everything. So I'm really moved by what I've seen so far, and I really can't wait to see more of this incredible project. You know, Governor-elect Dale referenced our action plan vision statement. And what I'm seeing here, as he said, is truly a testament to that statement. It starts with the word together. So bravo, Rotary clubs and Rotarians and you know, citizens who get together to make this a fabulous project. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change. And that's exactly what's happening here. You're changing the lives of people who need our help. Everybody who is in this room and is a Rotarian has the same DNA. And our DNA says that we want to make the world a better place. That's why we accepted an opportunity to become a Rotarian, whether you invited to come into that club or whether you found the club on your own. So it's an important part of what we do. You know, our 4 priorities of the action plan, which Dale also referenced, I find them compelling, mostly because they make sense, but also because I chaired the strategic planning committee that came up with all the research that led us to those priorities. And I feel like a proud mother. I want to see that grow up. I just want to mention 2 this morning. The first one is impact, increase our impact. And the third one is enhance our participant engagement. And my goodness, that's what's happening here at this school. What an impact you're having, not only for the students and the adults, but the families, right? Dan, your father was a visionary, just like, I'm sorry, your name's not Dan, your dad's name was Dan.
I'm Daniel.
You're Daniel too? Well, then I hit it right, I didn't even know, okay. Was a visionary, just like Paul Harris. Paul Harris had an idea in 1905. Let's get some people together, let's get to know one another, and let's look at what we can make better in the community. Their first project was a toilet walk in Chicago, right? Dan had an idea. He said, let's make life better for people who need our help. And that's what Rotary is all about. That's why we accept the challenge to be Rotarians. So I thank you for accepting that challenge. I thank you for living the magic of this organization. And I look forward to seeing more about what's happening here. And I wish you continued success. Thank you very much for inviting me. This is something that's very close to my heart as an educator. So I can't wait to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. And we're going to start our tours now, and the first group will be led by Alfie and Judge Allen, if you would accompany us.
I'm gonna have cake.
And we will take Stephanie, Deb, and Dave with us. And then Linda and Ann and others perhaps will lead you, others who are interested on a tour as well, following us. And then those who are interested will be gathering back here after the tour for a few quick pictures, if so desired. And then I know Stephanie has a tight schedule to get to Akron, and so we'll make sure we get her on the road on time. So with that, let's start the tours, and thank you all again for coming.